As UX designers, we know that when a user is unable to find what they're looking for or complete a task or something, we know that it is the fault of the design and typically not the fault of the actual user. And so when I was doing my usability test for my mid-fidelity prototype that I'm working on right now, and a few of my users failed one of the tasks, I thought to myself, no, I'm a failure. But it's okay. I just need to rework the design and remember that this is all a part of the design process. Hi everyone, welcome back. As you know, my name's Karen and I am trying to become a UX designer just like you. Today I am going to be sharing with you my usability testing process. I recently finished my mid-fidelity prototype for one of the pro bono projects that I'm working on, and I was able to test it with a couple of different users. And I did have some interesting discoveries, which I will share with you. I'm going to walk you through the process that I went through, the issues that users had, some of the things that they said, and what my recommendations are for my next iteration and the changes that I'm going to be making. So if you're interested in that, please do stay tuned, and also like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you! I wanted to ask you guys for some help. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to put my navigation in Figma so that there's also nested tabs. So if you float over the tab, you know, something else drops down. Is there a way to put this onto my screens without having to make a million different versions of, you know, my homepage screen, my about screen, my profile screen with the tabs popping down? Like, I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way that I can make this easier for myself when I do the high fidelity prototype, because I would hate to have to make a gazillion screens just because I have a nested navigation. Somebody did tell me that one thing you could do is to make your navigation a component so that it's easy to make interactions amongst all the different pages, but I'm just worried that I won't be able to do that with a nested navigation as well. So does anybody know? If you know, please tell me. In case you're new to the channel, you might not know what my pro bono project is about. It is actually a website for an all-female driving school called All Women Drivers. So that's just some background information for you. So even though this is a website that is geared towards women and is meant to empower women to drive, I decided to include a male in my usability testing because I got thinking and realized that it is not only women that will be using this website. You know, there are probably fathers that might do some research for their daughters when they want to learn how to drive. So I did want to include at least one male. Now, the first thing that I did was to outline what my research goals were. Like, what is the point of this usability test? And the point is to figure out if users can complete the core tasks using the website and to determine if students like the instructor profiles feature, because that to me is the most important part of the website. So I want to know, do people like this? And the research questions specifically are, how long does it take for users to find information on the different packages and to actually submit a registration request? Are users able to find information on the driving instructors? How long does it take users to find specific information on the website in general? What can we learn from the steps that users take? And are there parts where users get stuck? Now I'm going to scroll down a bit and show you the general script. Usually you need to have an introduction. This is kind of what you say to the participant after meeting them to kind of introduce them to what you are doing that day. And then you should always have a pre-test interview. Usually this is asked before the actual interview because you want to know if they meet the criteria for the actual study. So the first task was Using the prototype website, figure out where you would go to learn about the company's driving instructors. Your task is considered completed when you can tell the researcher how many star ratings the instructor at the top of the page has. Now, you don't always have to have this kind of success criteria there, but I wanted to put it in because I knew that for some of my usability tests, I wouldn't be able to moderate them and watch the participants do it live. So I knew that if I was going to be doing some recordings and had some users doing things on their own time, they needed to know when they were finished. So that's why I included that. People, for the most part, were able to complete this task really easily. All you had to do was really take a glance at the nav. You would have known that you should go to instructors and then to profiles. And then if you looked around, you would have seen that the first profile had 5 stars, so the answer was 5. For the second task, it was using the prototype website, please register for a course package. Your task is considered completed when you've reached the registration webpage. For this task, people finished this with flying colors. They knew that they would either have to look at the courses tab in the navigation, or they could use the call to action button on the homepage. Surprisingly enough, I'd say 4 of the 5 people used the homepage button and only 1 person used the nav, which I actually thought would be the opposite. So that was really cool to realize, like how powerful a call to action button on the homepage could really be. So that was really easy. You just clicked there, picked one of the packages, and then registered. Using the prototype, please find the article blog post called G2 Test Tips. Your task is considered completed when you can tell the researcher how many paragraphs is in the article. Although people were able to find the article posts, I did notice that there was a lot of looking around, okay, so would it be in about? No, I don't think so. Would it be in courses? Oh, look, free resources. It was kind of like a surprise reaction for a lot of people, which I did not expect. But I can understand how that would be because of the naming that I used. So that does kind of explain things. But there were actually a few people who couldn't find it at all. This really got me thinking about how I laid things out and maybe how I could make the articles more discoverable. And so that is a change that I do plan on making. I'm going to actually add a resources tab to my navigation so that anyone looking for free information on the company or on driving itself, they can find it. The fourth task was actually to just fill out an SUS questionnaire at the end of the usability test. So essentially, if you don't know, SUS stands for System Usability Scale Questionnaire, and what this does is it measures a person's perceived usability of something. So how much they think the tool that they're using is usable. So I'm going to try my best to explain to you how to do an SUS. I'm so sorry if I confused the crap out of you, but I'm really going to try and explain it. Okay, so essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a score that is out of 100. And if it is 100, it means that you have like an A+ rating for usability. And if you have something that is 68, around 68, that's about average. And then under 50 is failing. I put a little note down here in the corner because I'm just going to forget all the time. And you do have to do a little bit of math to get that score, but I'm going to break it down for you. Okay, so the survey questions are listed in order from 1 to 10, and they are almost always these exact questions in this exact order. So if you do an SUS, don't be moving the questions around and asking them in different orders. Do not do that. Leave it in this order. And the reason that it's designed this way is that if you notice all of the red ones, I did this to help me remember what is what, but they are designed in a way that if a person found your website usable, they would likely always rate something high, like a 4 or a 5, right? So if you look here, I think that I would like to use this website when researching driving schools. Ideally, I'd want them to say, yes, a 5, right? Question 3, similar. I thought this website was easy to use. Ideally, I would want them to rate a 5 as well. So if you look, all of the red ones, so every other odd number, is made so that if you agree, you would rate it a 5. Now, the reverse, all the even numbers, the green ones, are the exact opposite. So I would want them to rate it low. So let's see. I found this website unnecessarily complex. I don't want them to say 5. I want them to say 1, right? And then same with number 4. I think that I would need assistance to use this website. I want them to say 1. So if you look, like, there's a trend, right? Every other one is supposed to be like on the same positive or negative direction. And the reason that the questions are put this way, like every other question, you know, you'd have to flip the scale, it's to make sure that your participants are paying attention to the actual questions. Because if a participant is actually just moving down every question and putting 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 for everything, you'll know that they're not reading the questions because all of their answers are going to conflict one another, right? So that's why you flip them, to make sure people are being attentive and actually answering the question. So now that that's out of the way, the next step would be to put the individual score. So for all of the odd number ones, you put the number that they rated, so 1 to 5, minus 1. So for example, participant A, they had put a 5 for this question. And so I'm going to do 5 minus 1 equals 4. And that's what I put there. And I'm essentially going to do this for every single question for every single participant. And then after that, that is when you take each of these numbers, multiply each of them by 2.5, and then you add up the total, and that's going to give you the value out of 100. So recommendation 1, add a resources tab to the navigation. I did this because people could not find the free resources and could not locate the articles, so I put resources up here. The second would be to resize and rearrange the instructor profile elements so that they are above the fold of the page. So here I put everything for one profile above the fold so users know that, you know, this is what you can expect from this web page if you scroll down. Number 3, remove the Register Now call to action button from the home page and/or replace the button with Contact Us or See Locations. So I put Contact Us because the Register Now button actually has zero purpose, because it is impossible for you to register for a course without first selecting a course. So you always have to go to the courses page first. So this button is actually super useless, and I did not realize that until I was doing the usability testing. And the fourth recommendation, reverse the star rating designs to match conventions, like I told you. And those were my recommendations. If you're wanting some more training on usability testing because maybe you don't feel all that comfortable with it or don't fully understand everything, I would recommend you take either the Google Coursera course that is on usability testing. I think this course has some, I'm not sure what it's called exactly, but I will link it down below. Or you could also take the Coursera course with the University of Michigan, which I will also link down below. I've taken both, and I think both are really great. I think I like the University of Michigan one better, just because it was more detailed, and that certification with the University of Michigan is very research focused, whereas the Google one, they do focus on research, but they also do focus a lot on, you know, UI and design principles and stuff like that. The Michigan one is very, very research heavy, so if you want to be more comfortable with research, I would try taking that one. Or if you really don't want to spend any money, because you'd have to pay a membership or pay for the certificate, I would apply for the free trial, apply for financial aid, or just go online, Google articles, and just read the articles. I think that they are pretty in-depth and educational, so you could just do that. I really don't think you need to bust out a lot of money. Alright guys, that is it for the video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please do like, comment, and subscribe. I really do love reading all of the comments, and anything that you can do to support the channel, I do appreciate. Thank you so much. See you guys next time. Bye!